It's been roughly 3 years and 9 days since we took a look at a Battlefield game. Yes, it's been a while, and I know that you don't live under a rock, so you'll be aware that Battlefield 2042 had something of a rough lifespan. The launch wasn't well received. Somehow, after all this time, it felt like the game had sort of lost its way, whilst ironically also trying to return to its roots. There were distractions like the focus on 128 player modes, which felt like they stretched the game too far, both in terms of map design and technologically too. It lacked a crispness that we were used to. To say that people weren't happy would be to undersell the situation quite significantly. Well, with all that said, why look at the game now? Well, I noticed that it's currently on sale for £3.99 in the UK, $4.79 in the US, which is an eye-watering 92% off. So with all the development that it's had in the last 3 years, is it worth playing what Battlefield 2042 is now, what it turned into, rather than dismissing it based on that troubled launch? In a nutshell, is it worth playing in 2024? I'm LCTR. If you're a fan of FPS games like this, then please do tap the subscription button. If you enjoyed the video, the ultimate button as well. We cover mainly a variety of FPS titles, so your support is very much appreciated. And before we start, in my normal full disclosure way, I want to say that EA gave me a Steam code so I could cover the game on my channel. Do me a favour, forget that this is a Battlefield game. All those expectations that you might have as a successor to Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, suspend them for a moment. It's 2024, you're looking for a new action FPS that echoes those classic titles. But I'm here to say that Battlefield 2042 can deliver those cornerstone experiences of spectacle, environmental design, amazing audio, and that feeling of being in an action movie if you look for them. Now you're probably thinking, if I look for them, this is meant to be a AAA title. Well, at a AAA price, I'd agree with you. At the launch price, 2042 is rough to recommend, but at $4.79, I mean, what is that as a percentage of a Valorant skin? At that price, what you get makes a lot more sense now. I still feel like a lot of the blame for how the game felt at launch was the map design, and those echoes are still felt in the game today, albeit with much corrective work performed. At times, the design of the new 2042 maps feels like the very old 1942 maps. I recall playing that original title, a frankly terrifying 22 years ago now. The combined arms gameplay across the expansive open maps felt fresh and new, and frankly, it was groundbreaking. What we forget is quite how poor those maps could feel for infantry. The clusters of buildings felt like little islands where troops could battle, but the flat open expanses between those islands were killing zones with little meaningful cover. Well, for whatever reason, some of the new 2042 maps chose to ape those characteristics, perhaps fueled by the idea of them being populated with 128 players and AI to fill spots. They would be a return to the roots of the series, but that didn't seem to be what many players wanted from a Battlefield game. The in-between years of Battlefield 3, 4, and my personal favourite, Bad Company 2, had moulded player expectation into something more infantry-focused. Call it codification if you want. So what happened to 2042's maps? Well, a comprehensive refresh of many of the headline launch maps for starters. Gone are the minimalistic open stretches, placed with new art and a lot more cover. Do they save the game's maps? To a degree. There's certainly a lot less frustration in dying while running across open ground. And on the whole, there's enjoyment to be had in the newer tweaked offerings. Plus, the additional new maps that 2042 has acquired along the way don't feel like they suffer from those initial design missteps. Those less open Battlefield 3, 4, and Bad Company 2 experiences are here too. Head over to the Portal mode and you'll see a variety of game options allowing you to play classic maps like Valparaiso, Caspian Border, Arica Harbor, and so on. 2042 is basically out of notable updates for the game now, no big map releases left. That didn't stop the devs making a Halloween event with darkened maps complete with juicy hints about something to do with their old Battle Royale map perhaps as well. Anyway, so looking at this all now, with that under $5 price tag, am I okay paying that for a hit of Caspian Border and Noshaar Canal nostalgia? Again, this starts to make more sense to me. Even if I'm cynical and think of the refresh maps and the new maps as a side benefit, that's still a lot of gaming for my money. The hero characters of Battlefield 2042 never really felt like a good fit either. You could see the idea, people latching onto characters rather than the faceless soldiers of Battlefield's past. Better engagement, attachment, all that marketing and user experience stuff. Again, the community didn't seem to respond well. The tried and tested classes were gone and replaced with something that felt like it was from another game. Plus, you kept seeing multiple versions of the same hero on your team and the enemy's team. It just felt odd. Oh, and I have to say, the annoying voice line spam didn't help with this sort of integration either. Number one on my list for this was undoubtedly Sundance with her wingsuit. Her ability design is something I could go into at length, but basically, it's a perfect example of something that feels fun to play and horrible to play against. It's fine for single player or PvE titles, but in a multiplayer environment, it just generates bad experiences for other players. You can imagine how that scaled at lunchtime with people Batmaning around. I'm not gonna lie, I rage quit a number of times. So what happened in the meantime? Well, those characters are still here, but their prominence is much reduced. The normal classes, like Assault, Support, and so on, return, each having a buff, and then the actual character themselves has a utility unique to them. Anecdotally, I've not experienced the same sort of ability spam recently compared to what we saw at launch. You might see someone using a grapple to get onto a roof, but it's not the weird meta that existed before when I thought I was playing some sort of Spider-Man variant. I'm not going to say that everything about Battlefield 2042's rough launch has been corrected. There's still some odd moments, rough edges, and features that you imagine should exist. Like, for instance, you can't swap to the other team while the map is active. But one of the worst things I've experienced recently is seemingly the lack of randomness in the maps that are being played. If I select the breakthrough mode, it'll dump me in an open game. Well, the chances of it being one of 3 maps that I've played many times recently feels oddly high. Googling this issue shows that other people have noticed the same, which is a real shame as there's quite a spread of maps to play now. But again, looking at the portal mode and the server browser allows you to bypass this RNG mistake. Now that really isn't good enough for a AAA title, but again, we're under $5, remember. I'm okay with a few more clicks to get to where I want to be. And that's kind of where I'm at with this game now. It'll never be held up like Battlefield 3 or 4 as a high point in the series. That boat has well and truly sailed. But it is worth saying that Battlefield 5 also had a rough time of things at launch, but with this 2042 saga, it seems now to be talked about in hushed tones as a classic Battlefield by some. Well, when that was launched, I would have bet a lot of money against that never happening. The Battlefield 2042 we have now is not the game that launched 3 years ago. That player feedback and community feeling has been turned into a lot of changes that have improved the title significantly. And for the sale price, I can now recommend it to gamers who can overlook its AAA roots and enjoy the things that it does well. For me, it doesn't sour the Battlefield series. I still enjoy that hit of only in Battlefield moments, that beautiful cinematic touch that DICE seems to do better than anyone else. I hope the devs learn what they need to from 2042 and about what Battlefield means to the community now. I really think this series deserves a place in the modern gaming landscape. What do you think about Battlefield 2042? Are you a fan of the series? Let me know all your powerful thoughts and feelings by leaving a comment below right now. Like always, I'll be reading every single one of them. If you did enjoy this video, please tap the thumb up and sub button. It supports the channel and helps me to continue to make videos like this in the future, while also telling you when the new ones are out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.